Every year there's a surprise in the coaching carousel, and some years the surprise is there's no surprise. Typically, it comes from the firing of a coach. The surprise this year comes from whatever it is that happened the past couple of days for the Buccaneers and the Jaguars. Quick recap. Liam Coen was getting ready to go interview in person with the Jaguars after having a virtual interview the first time around. Offensive coordinator of the Bucs for 1 year, replaced Dave Canales, who was 1 year and then became head coach of the Panthers. As he was getting ready to go to Jacksonville, the Bucs said, hey, we got a deal for you. Don't go. We'll give you a contract that makes you the highest paid offensive coordinator in football. And that's that. So he didn't go. So then the Jaguars fired, although it may be more complicated than that, but fired Trent Baalke, the general manager of the team, who was viewed throughout the league as a reason why guys with choices would not choose to go to Jacksonville. So then they come back to Liam Coen. And look, I've had some situations I haven't handled well in my life. I won't bore you with the details, especially when it relates to knowing you want to leave a job and how do you go about doing it. And it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of strain. But by all appearances and based on multiple reports, Liam Coen secretly went back to Jacksonville because the whole idea was we're giving you this contract and you're not going back for an interview. So he goes and he doesn't tell them. He goes and he ghosts them. He doesn't respond to anyone. And the next thing you know, he's taken the job. They finally did hear from Liam Coen when he let them know last night he's going to be the next Jaguars coach. It is just bizarre. It is strange. I think the Buccaneers aren't happy about the way this went down because their attitude is just tell us. Just tell us. We can't keep you from taking the job. Just tell us. He finally did after he secretly went back to Jacksonville, and now it's just a matter of it being announced. He's going to be the next coach of the Jaguars, Rodney.
Well, is that a bad thing? I mean, he has to do what's in the best interest of himself, and the teams are always going to protect themselves. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes. No, go ahead. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's just a way to do it that I think doesn't ruffle feathers. Because why be secretive? Just say this.
Well,
is what I'm gonna do.
he's never been in this situation, Mike. He's never been in this situation before, and he probably didn't handle it the right way. It's just sometimes it's just one of those situations where you just don't know what to do. I mean, you've never been in a situation before. You might be overwhelmed that you're getting all this attention, that you have all this opportunity. You got the pressure from the Bucs telling you, hey, we're going to make you the highest paid offensive coordinator. And yeah, that's flattering, but at the same time there's pressure. But also you know that you want to have an opportunity to sit down in front of that organization and possibly become a head coach. And he probably just didn't want to spoil his situation with the Bucs. But at the end of the day, man, they needed to make a change. Doug Peterson looked disinterested. He wasn't engaged, and he didn't help Trevor Lawrence. So I think this is a good move. This young man. I've talked to this Coach Dungy about this guy, and Coach Dungy has nothing but positive things to say about him, talking about the type of person that he is. And I think he's going to help walk in and help Trevor Lawrence get his confidence back and become that quarterback we expect him to be.
He's got experience with the Rams. He rose to offensive coordinator there. He's been back and forth to Kentucky a couple of times. He was Kentucky offensive coordinator, Rams offensive coordinator, Kentucky again, and then went to the Bucs this year. And Rodney, I agree with you 100%. And look, I'm torn about this because my first reaction when I heard that he was going back and the Bucs weren't happy was, hey, look, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not been bashful about making any and all decisions that are in their best interest when it comes to coaches. And they've done some things that are unconventional, to say the least. They fired Coach Dungy, which, okay, they won their Super Bowl, but so did he. And I think that he performed better with the Colts than the Bucs did with John Gruden. But that's a different issue altogether. Then Gruden gets fired abruptly, and they take defensive backs Coach Raheem Morris and make him the coach like that one day apart. Then they Lovie Smith, when he's the coach and Dirk Cutter's the offensive coordinator, and they don't want to lose Dirk Cutter. Out goes Lovie and up goes Dirk. You do what you got to do. When it's time for Tom Brady to come back, and maybe he doesn't want Bruce Arians there, Bruce Arians retires in late March. So they do whatever they need to do. Every team does that. the thing that got weird here, this idea that they gave him his new contract, Rodney, with a promise that he wasn't going to go interview the second time. See, that's not enforceable. You can't keep him from doing that. You and I think that's what kind of short-circuited things for him, because he's like, well, I told him I wasn't going to go back. Now I got to tell him I am going to go back, but I really want this contract, and I gave him my word. And that's the difference between giving your word and doing an enforceable contract, because there's no way the league would have said it's okay for the Buccaneers to prevent him with any contract from interviewing to be a head coach. So I think the Bucs have some blame here because they tried to make an unenforceable promise somewhat enforceable, at least from the standpoint of a guilt trip that he might have been feeling.
Yeah, and that's what these organizations are trying to do. They're trying to control people with money in these contracts, but you can't limit an opportunity for a guy. If a guy has an opportunity, even if he promised you, hey, I'm not going to go in any interviews, maybe he goes home with his wife and has a conversation, and she says, yeah, I'm definitely interested in going to Jacksonville, to Florida. Let's take a look at it. I mean, that's something that you always have to be open-minded to. The teams are always going to do what's in their best interest, whether it's saving money, whether it's releasing a guy, firing a coach, a general manager. At the end of the day, he's never been in this situation before. Maybe he got a little overwhelmed, and maybe he didn't know how to handle it. But you have to, if you have an opportunity to sit down in front of an owner and to interview for a head coaching job, you have to take it, especially if you're in his situation.
Well, and I've heard he's going to be making like $12 million a year, so that's another reason to not say no. And I just think that we all find ourselves in spots from time to time where we don't know what to do, and the clock is ticking. And the more it's ticking, the louder it gets, the more we don't know what to do. And we got to do what's right for us, even if that includes getting up and walking out of Al Davis's office in shorts and flying to Foxborough 23 years ago or however long ago it was. I mean, we got to do what's right. We got to do what's right. And I'm not suggesting that your situation was any comparison to this one, but the point is, you just got to do what you got to do. The teams
and
will
sometimes,
do
Mike,
what's
let
right
me just
for
tell
them.
you this, Mike. Sometimes in a situation, whether you're a coach or a football player, and just in life, sometimes you just have a good feeling about something. And if this is something that he wants to pursue, yeah, he's been an offensive coordinator. Now he has an opportunity to take that next step, to go to that next level. Give him that opportunity. And it's the Bucs is like, they're sore losers because they offered him all this money, but it's not head coaching money. Yeah, it might be $4 or $5 million a year, but it's not $12 million a year. It's not the opportunity to lead your own team, your own franchise, and to have your own thoughts implemented into the team. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that he took this job, and he's going to be working with Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence needs a guy that's going to push him, that's going to elevate him, that's going to motivate it and stimulate him. Trevor didn't seem stimulated with Doug Peterson. He just didn't.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.